Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Foothill Paint and Fabrication. Well, as you can see, we're back on the 5-window cab here. We're polishing. So I'm about in the middle of polishing. I already got a good start on it. I color sanded the whole thing, and now we're doing the first step on it. And I just want to show you guys a few things you can do to help protect the clear in some really hard to reach areas to protect it from burn through. So let's just jump in here and we'll take a look at this real quick and we'll do a little polishing and then we'll finish this thing off. Okay, the first area I want to talk about is the drip rail right here. Now obviously you know the top comes like this and that drip rail sticks up and it's a very fine edge right there. So if you hit that with the polisher, you know, because you're coming down like this and it's going to be on edge, it's going to burn through. And you're trying to get down inside here and get that polish really nice, especially if you sanded down inside there, and it's very hard to do. I've done plenty where I've hand polished, you know, the first little bit to make sure it was done so I didn't have to, you know, focus down in there too long with the polishing wheel. And other times I've just used a little tiny one and kind of got down in there. And a lot of times I simply don't sand too deep down close to the drip edge because I know I can't get a wheel in there. So like I always tell you, I don't sand anywhere I don't think I can get a polishing wheel. So what I did was I just took some tape and it's kind of wrapped over that edge lightly. So it's on here and I just got it, you know, because this is fresh paint. I don't want to stick tape on it anywhere I don't have to. And I don't want to leave the tape on any longer than I have to. And something for you guys, you probably all already found out, you put masking tape on anything and the sun beats down on it, it sticks it like glue. And then you peel it off and then you've got all that residue to deal with. In this case, we don't want to lift any paint. We don't want to screw the paint up or the clear up at all. So I've got it on here just lightly. So now I can polish down here and I've got that extra protection. And if you're concerned, you put 2 or 3 layers of tape on there because once you get one down, you just pile it on maybe in a little spot that you know you got to work really hard. Put 3 or 4 layers of tape on there, and that way you know for sure you can't get through that tape and you can get down in there and do the polishing you want. So I'm going to grab the polisher and we're going to do this right here. I've already done the first step on the top, but I have not done this area right here. It's a little dull. And then we're going to work down here a little bit and work around the corner by this back window and try to get the first step done on this, and then we can move on. Okay, so I'm up on a bucket, probably not the smartest thing to do, you probably should use a step stool, but you want to keep the polisher close to your body when you're polishing. You don't want to overreach because if you lose control of the polisher, you know, it could flip over, you could do some damage to the clear, and not to mention you're going to get fatigued with your arms out that far and then you're going to make a mistake later. When my hands start getting a little tight and my arms get a little tired from polishing, I just take a break. The last thing I want to do is push it and then make a mistake and then I have to redo something. So we're going to work this little area right here and I'm just going to go ahead and get started. But if you keep your arms close to your body, you got a lot more control. And by the way, my polisher's starting to die on me, so the adjustable speed is pretty much medium low to all the way open. So I've got a new one on the way. Hopefully it shows up today. I can start using it. But I'm going to go ahead and start off slow, and I'm going to look down here and I'm going to bounce and watch where that wheel is going to make sure I don't get down on that tape too much. Now I've got it there, but I don't want to pretend like that tape is invincible, you know, and I couldn't still, you know, go through that tape. So I want to watch what I'm doing, turn the wheel so I'm getting the polish down inside there. Pretty much just like that. We got that polished with no danger of burning through, and I could confidently, you know, get that wheel down in there and do the work I needed to do. Now without that tape, I'd be very timid, and 9 times out of 10, there'd be little dull marks right here. In fact, I see a little bit. I need to go around this corner a little bit more, but this area right here, I'm looking down through the sunlight and the LED lights, and I can tell it looks really good. But if I didn't have this tape, I would be really shy about getting down in here, and then I end up having to do it by hand, or I keep going back and back and back and doing it, And then eventually, the more I keep trying, I'm probably going to screw up. So using the tape is a really good kind of a, you know, I don't know, like a safety feature for you, so you don't, you can polish with confidence and you don't have to worry about screwing up. But then it also gives you a better job at the end because you're in and out, and then you move on, and it keeps your production up as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do this little piece right here. We're going to go down the side here, and then all we have to do is wrap back around by the back window here, the side window, and then this little area is going to be done. Okay, to do down the A-pillar here, now I only sanded these just very lightly. I had a couple little spots I didn't like, and they're plenty shiny. So I'm polishing the large areas. This is just a driver, so I'm just want it to look nice. I'm not trying to do show quality. So I'm not, you know, spending a tremendous amount of time polishing every little square inch on this cab. So but you can see, I can get down there without worrying about it. Get down here and bump, and get out. And they do make smaller polishing wheels or foam pad wheels of all sizes, even wool ones. This is an 8. Now you can get a, you know, like a 6, works really well. 5, 6, 6 is most common, and then they go even really tiny. So, you know, and they're not very expensive. So you may want to invest in them just to make your job a little easier and less stressful when you're polishing, especially if you're new to polishing. So now we got that polished out, looks really good. I'm going to go around the back here off camera, and then we're going to move over down by the louvers. Okay, now louvers. These are very scary to polish around because basically you've got not a razor edge, but you just have the edge of sheet metal there. There's no substance to it at all, and you can burn through like that. I mean, just getting close to it makes me nervous. So what I do is, for one thing, I'm not going to polish these louvers, and if I was to do them, they came out shiny and perfect. I'm not going to mess with them, but if I was going to do them, I'd do them by hand. I just do it with a cloth and the polish and my thumb, and I would polish those things completely by hand. So, and that's just me. Now, some guys may be brave and they'll get in there and polish, but that's not me. I'd rather take the extra 30 minutes or whatever and do it by hand than instead of burning through on one edge and then having to reshoot this whole area or possibly the whole cab, right? So that's hours and hours and hours of work opposed to 30 minutes of work by hand. So you got to choose your battles. So what I've done here, as you guys know, those louvers, they curl around. Now I sanded around here, so I want to polish up to them, but I don't want to risk if I slip or something and get that wheel getting that lip and then burning through, and it'd be terrible. So what I did, I just kind of masked lightly around here. Here's the upper lip on the first one, and that way I can kind of bump down to here, and then I just kind of kept it clean around here. I've already done a little bit of polishing with the little DA polisher you guys saw me use before, but I need to still polish up here, and then I want to hit the rest of it with the big one to make sure it's all looking really nice. So I'm just going to polish. I'll start up here, and I'll polish the top of the cowl right here, and I sanded down into this groove a little bit when I was sanding the top, so I'll be bumping the polisher down inside there and up over the top to get down inside there, and then I just want to come around the corner and get these pieces, and then we'll be done with this kind of scary spot right here. I've got a little bit right here I need to do as well. So by masking everything up that has an edge sticking out, I can polish around here and not stress about it. Okay, so I'm standing up on a couple of boards on this cart that the cab's sitting on. That way I can look down at what I'm doing instead of kind of looking up eye level. It just makes it easier for me. And then the polisher's below me so I can control it really nicely. Now I've already polished around this cowl, this vent area with the little one, but I'm still going to bump up to it a little bit and just kind of work my way down. Now when I'm polishing and I'm bumping, I need to make sure that I have polish. If you look at my wheel here, I only have polish to here. So I'm bumping this area and it has no polish on it. So basically I'm just rubbing the foam up against paint and I'm not doing any work. And then it's just going to increase the chances of burn through or screwing up the clear. So when you're doing that, you got to make sure that you get polish on the wheel where you want to do the work. So I'm just going to rotate it around here a little bit, and then we're going to get it up on edge a little bit, and then just try to get down inside there. And I'll slow the polisher way down just to reduce my risk of screw up. Let's see how that looks. Keep your towel handy, check often, don't just polish blindly. So it's looking pretty good. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Now if I was having trouble getting down in there, and it may still have a little bit, I'm just going to do that by hand. If you keep forcing it, chances are something's going to go sideways on you. So, you know, if you're having trouble getting something polished, don't just keep forcing it. You know, take a step back, try to come up with another game plan. We're in the home stretch here. The last thing we want to do is get impatient and screw up all our hard work, right? So that's actually looking really good. Get my face down inside there, make sure I don't see any scratches, sand scratches. And now we can move on to this area. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but I was turning the speed adjustment wheel and it didn't change speed. This thing is just about had it. I polished plenty of cars with this polisher. It's just a Harbor Freight job. So getting down low, I'm kind of getting the light in so I can see, and I do see some scratches down inside here. It's right at the base, right in there, and this foam pad is pretty round. Now this has a little bit of a notch on it right here, or kind of a peak. I could probably turn it on edge and try to get down in there, but I'm just going to do it by hand. I'm not going to risk it. I'm not lazy, and I just want to make sure I do this right and don't cause myself more work by being lazy. So I'm going to go ahead and polish this little area right here, and we'll get down on these louvers, and I'll come back by hand and I'll get that little area. So this little strip right here, I want the wheel turning away. Now here's the drip edge right here. So before when I was doing it, I couldn't get near it because I didn't have it taped off. So now I can kind of work this area and have the wheel come away and not stress about it. I'm looking on the back side of the wheel while I'm doing this to see where it's contacting. So I can kind of make sure I'm not getting in up on that drip edge. Like that. Now since we can't see through the polishing wheel, you can tell right here, I have no idea where I am as far as those louvers go. So having this, you can see I've got some polish on here, right? But that edge is still protected. So now I've got this edge over here done with the wheel turning away. Now I can turn around and bump down to the louvers here. Now we can get this edge with the wheel turning away. Let's take a look how we did. Looks good. I don't see any sand scratches down in here. This edge looks beautiful. Everything looks good. And you know, the thing about this tape is when you, if you're polishing not too loud, this one's bearings are starting to go out, but you can actually hear the wheel hit the tape. It kind of makes a scratching sound, so you know you're, you know, on your tape. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of this right here off camera. We'll take care of that. I see a little scratch right there I need to take care of, and I'm going to hand polish this area right here. It's super easy. You just put some on a, you know, terry cloth towel, a small old wash rag or something, and I'll just polish up inside there really good. I'll check the other side and make sure it's good as well, and then we can move on to seeing whatever else we got to do, and then we can move on to the second step and get this thing polished all the way out. Okay, I was just about ready to hand polish this little body line right here when I remembered I have this a red pad. It's for first step, and as you guys can see right here, it's got a little bit of a, I don't know, a corner on it, so I can get down in there really easily. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Get a little polish down here, and so I'll just utilize a different pad to do you know, a little tough spot. So I'm going to go ahead and get the polish on the edge of the wheel here, right where I want it. And then we can get down inside there. This way I can see what I'm doing. I can bump right up to it and get right down inside there and up that hill a little bit. There we go, just like that. So there's different you know, shapes and styles of polishing pads. This one, I've used this style for years, but they tend to get torn up on the corners right here, so I switched to that other one that works out really well. But as you can see, this one has its place too, and I use these for years. They work great, don't get me wrong, but I tended to chew them up because I do so much polishing. They get a little beat up, as you can tell. But these things work awesome as well. I'll actually use the blue one like this to do the number 2 step. So now I'm going to move on. We've got to move over to the corner over here, and then we'll be done with the first step. Okay, so I got everything wiped down really well with the cloth with the number 1, and made sure it was completely dust-free from the polish we started with. So that's very important. You guys want to make sure it's all removed. So if you find spots where it's kind of dried on there, some compounds, this newer compound I'm using, it wipes off beautifully. But occasionally, you know, it'll sling somewhere and dry and get it kind of hard to come off. So just get yourself a nice terry cloth towel or an old wash rag or something, get it damp, and just wipe over the whole vehicle. It'll reactivate it and it'll come off super easy. Just wipe it with the damp one, then follow it up with the dry one. It'll take all that off and it carries it away instead of just moving it around, which is kind of nice. So I've got everything done. I already started polishing. Unfortunately, Amazon hasn't dropped off the new polisher, so we're going to keep limping along with this one. And so we're going to do this number 2 step. We'll get across the cowl here around the louvers here, and on this side we're going to bust this out really quick. And then we're going to wipe this thing down and see how it came out. Okay, I got the tripod up as high as it'll go, so hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. So I only have a little small area. When I was polishing the top, I was able to get down here pretty good. So we're just going to go ahead and get this one little strip right here. Now I got my blue pad on there, and it's the waffle style. And I really do like these waffle ones, except when I'm using the first step, because I really chew them up. You know, because I'm getting over areas and stuff, and you know, chunks of red start flying everywhere. But for the other steps, I really do like these waffle ones. But either way, either kind you use, they all work really well. But I kind of like this because as you can see right here, the compound gets down inside there, not just on the surface. So when you put a little pressure, then it re-exposes more surface area actually when it's waffled. So let's just go ahead and hit this. We'll start off slow. And with the shape of this one, like we talked about earlier, I can get down inside there without worrying about this little hard backing part rubbing. And I kind of try to be methodical So I'll go down and then over and then up, down, then over and then up. Get up there, make sure we overlap. Didn't have my towel on over my shoulder like I usually do. And that looks good right there. Looks really good. Check all the angles here. So that's basically done up there. So now we're going to work down the A-pillar here. And then we'll get the cowling, and then we'll get that corner over there and around the louvers, and this thing is busted out. We can unmask it and get cleaned up real nice and see how this thing really looks. Around these little detailed areas, these hard to reach areas, I really do a small section at a time so I can just focus on it and not make a mistake or not skip anything, so I have to come back and then work in another tough area. So it's looking really good right there. I'm going to go ahead and butts this cowl out, and then we'll move down and get the louvers. All right, looks really nice. Okay, so we're going to focus on this little triangle area and then down below it, and then I'm going to hand polish this, and I will hand polish over the top of these. I will pull the tape off and then finish it off. So let's get this little triangle right here. Now, going up like that, I would have never dared do that without the tape there. So as I'm polishing this part, I'm working this edge right here, and so I'm making sure the pad is turned up so it's not digging in on this other line over here on the door jamb. And then as I go down and it gets more narrow, then I actually work just the tip right here of the wheel. And that way, the wheel isn't really going over and coming back, it's more just like hitting right on the edge right there. We just turn around and then we can work the wheel going this way. All right, that's looking really good. Let's get this tape off here and just finish up by hand. Peel the tape back on itself like you normally would. I'm going down and away. And I didn't really rub this tape on really good, you know, I just got it on there so it would stay. Just like that. All right, so now I'm just going to hand polish these. And I'll just take the corner of the terry cloth towel. I'll put some polish on it. You can do this with all the steps. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it all moved in onto the cloth right here. And then I'm just going to go along with my finger and apply a fair amount of force, obviously not bending the louvers, but it's such a small area you can polish pretty good, pretty fast. So I'm going to go over out on the where the machine stopped, where the tape was, and I'm going to get those really good. So you don't want to, you know, it's kind of like you're blending it from being polished, sanded and polished to not polished. So when you're spraying, you want to be very careful around things like louvers and stuff that are very hard to polish. You want it as wet as possible, obviously the clear, but putting a run on one of these, pretty hard to get off. You know, it's hard to sand those out. So that's looking really good. Need a little cleanup up inside here. And we'll do that once the truck's completely unmasked. Get this thing cleaned up really nice. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go around the truck and check everywhere to make sure I got everything polished with the second step really nice and everything looks good. We'll do a full wipe down on it, and if I see anything, then I'll just go back and I'll hit it. And these look really good. I really happy the way these came out. So let me do that, and I'll bring you guys back. Okay, the cab is polished. Looks really nice. Came out really well. Really happy with the way everything came out. The clear just looks fantastic. Got the all the windows unmasked, everything's unmasked. Didn't get any vapor in the truck inside the cab that I can tell, so I did a good job masking, getting all that sealed up. So, and plus you remember we had the saran wrap on the dash and stuff to protect it. But all in all, it looks really good, really happy. Now I'm sure I missed a spot here or there, didn't do as well as I would like. So once the truck's all back together, I'll go over the whole thing and do a little touch up. You know, the clear may get scratched here or there, you know, reassembling it. It may have to do some, you know, little polishing here and there. But all in all, it's looking really good. Next step for this thing is taking it and putting it on that chassis. The chassis here, but we're going to have to take the bed loose and move it back quite a few inches and then set the cab on. It's just it's too tight of a squeeze to try to lower that down inside there. I'm not willing to risk it. I'll wait for the camera to come back. There we go. But as you guys can see, it came out well. The doors are ready to go. Firewall looks great. Got a box of parts right there. But I'm pretty happy to get this knocked out, and I think it looks great. The owner should be thrilled. Okay, that wraps up this video on polishing the cab. Now, I didn't show you guys a lot. You've all seen me polish before. It's not that big a deal. But I wanted to leave the cab masked while I was wet sanding and then polishing, so it just keeps the interior nice and clean. I don't want to leave the masking paper and tape on there too long, but I was able to get after this soon enough so it all peeled off with no problems. But it's just something that I like to do. It saves me a lot of work. I spent so much time getting the interior of the cab look so nice. I certainly didn't want to fling polish and sanding debris all over it. But it came out beautifully. I'm really happy. Hope you guys got something out of how to protect some of your drip edges. It's just tape, but don't get cocky like I used to be. Protect them and just be cautious. And that way you don't have heartache down the line where you're going, oh, I can't believe I just did that. And the polishing wheel can get away from you really fast. It doesn't matter if you're using foam or a wool bonnet or whatever, it can hit those edges and boom, you're down through the paint, you know. So just keep that in mind when you're polishing. Take it easy, be patient. If your arms get tired, take a break. So that's about it for this one. Thanks for joining me here at Foothill Paint Fabrication. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Send me those project pics. I want to see what you guys are up to, and mash that bell icon so you get notifications every time I release a new video. We'll see you on the next one.